Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler Austin, and I am a huge fan of the Nevers. In case you're not familiar with me, I am the fan that puts out all of those crazy breakdown videos that goes shot by shot, scene by scene. But all of those were kind of focused on my first viewing, so I wanted to take a step back, and I've put together a montage of scenes that I think are really interesting when you go back and you look at them within context of the big reveal that we had in episode 6. I am specifically picking scenes with answers that we have already been given, not answers that we are pining for or that we are still trying to figure out. If you have not watched all of the first 6 episodes of The Nevers, you do not want to watch this video. This will completely spoil the entire experience. So don't do that. Specifically that, the Galanthi are here. They've gone back in time. They've sent specifically True back in time to kind of change up the timeline that is happening. And all of the things that we were given through the first 4 episodes that gave us this answer. So without further ado, let's take a look at each episode, shall we? So the first one we're going to be looking at is episode 1 called Touched. We know after we've seen the first 6 episodes that, True and Stripe and Zephyr are all the same person. But what's really interesting is the opening of the show cuts from Molly killing herself and landing in the water, and then immediately cuts and we open up and we see that it is True, that it is Zephyr, that it is this person, which is pretty much the answer to exactly what we were looking for, and I thought this was a very interesting cut to open up the show with.
Might we be civil?
Obviously, one of the first things that we see True doing is beating somebody up, and we know that she has this knowledge because she is, in fact, a soldier from the future.
She's not killing whores, Your Grace. These are respectable men.
Psychoanalysts.
But originally, I thought this scene with Men of Parliament was, not interesting at all and was kind of boring, and I was like, why is this even here? But what I think is actually really fascinating about it now is looking back, they specifically say that Malady is killing psychoanalysts, angels, psychoanalysts. All you know about angels is what you know, Sarah,
These are biological anomalies caused by electricity.
This is the age of power. New power.
The X-ray, the wireless.
Electricity.
This is huge foreshadowing to the fact that Malady just completely decimates all the people at her hanging using electricity, and then is further echoed by the fact in episode 5, Masson says,
Fucking electricity.
Who moved the body?
It must have been. Wait, what? No, it was it.
She wasn't killed there. And her blood's been dry a lot longer than this pig's.
This kind of sets up the whole Malady Effie reveal. They kind of tell you flat out in the beginning that this is a really weird sequence of events, but you're just kind of this scene is boring. Take me back to the Victorian women that kick ass. What's super interesting here is that Lucy is cleaning True's room. You don't really have this knowledge when you're watching the first episode for the first time. But what's really weird about what she's doing is she's cleaning and she has weeds and things that she's picked from the garden. And you don't really think too much of it. But now it's funny because she's specifically going through True's room when True is not there, when she left to go pick up Myrtle. So, I mean, it's right there.
I wouldn't expect you to understand, but Mother says they're a blight.
Yeah? She say that lately? On a visit, maybe, that we all missed.
As though you know anything about being a mother.
Primrose.
She didn't mean that.
Does she think she's too big for a spanking?
This scene, I think, is really interesting because obviously it foreshadows the whole, you don't know about being a mother. Lucy killed her baby when her power went haywire, when she picked up her child for the first time, which ultimately kind of tells you everything that you need to know about why she's there, what she's doing, and when the reveal comes that she is playing both sides, it is not, out of nowhere.
That's fucking amusing.
Myrtle, this is Dr. Horatio Cousins. He swears a lot.
Damn.
Once you see episode 6, you know that Horatio and Penance definitely know that True is actually Zephyr. They don't know her name, but they know that she is from the future. What's going on, that aliens gave them their powers. One of the things that Horatio says to True in episode 6 is, if you want to get out of this mental institution and prove to everybody that you're sane, you need to stop swearing.
I gotta get out of this place.
Then you might not want to say fuck quite so often. And give me back my morphine.
Fuck.
The first thing that happens is when True introduces Horatio to the group, she says, "This is Dr. Horatio Cousins." He swears a lot.
They're unhappy.
With the Humphreys, of course they're unhappy, they're old.
The Crows. They shouldn't be massing here.
Crows.
I love Augustus. And one of the first lines that he has is him talking about the Crows and how they shouldn't be massing here. And obviously, you just saw the clip, but we obviously know that Augustus, let alone has been obsessed with birds since the time he was a child, but his touched gift is actually to be able to control the birds. I love this little sequence. It's really interesting that you're like, oh, Augustus, he's obsessed with the birds.
It's the widow, Mrs. True, I think, and her companion.
The widow, Mrs. True. Now, this is something that we were all kind of questioning, and we were like, why does everybody keep saying that she's a widow? We obviously know this is the case once you see Molly's flash forward, where you find out that her husband died, left her the house, Molly couldn't get pregnant. Very sad story, and she ends up killing herself. Then we just have another really cute shot of, like, Augustus with the birds.
The sodium. Pardon the stench. You cannot get that man into a bath.
We all heard the Beggar King, and we figured it out after episode 3 when we saw him walk on water, but literally you cannot get this man into a bath. He will not go into water. Water is repelled off of him, and therefore he probably cannot shower, and therefore he probably smells really fucking bad.
You're mad enough to make this worth it. But you're mad enough to try not to. If it goes that way, I will cut your face to a mess.
This isn't my face.
This one is also pretty obvious. True in the first episode, and this was the one that I was most tuned into, says, "This is not my face." And pretty blankly, she means, this is not my face. This is not my body. This is not where I am from. Bring it on. Kill me. I killed myself anyway, and I came back against my will. Do it.
One may refer to a single employee, whereas the employed can only be used to describe a mass of people. It doesn't allow for the idea that a single worker may be a whole and meaningful being.
When you have the context that True is from the future and that she's speaking to people from the Victorian era where she's like, your rules don't make sense, you're barbaric, you don't let women have a voice in your society, F you, that she would be like, it's the employed versus employee. This is why this word needs to be said. And then to just like mindfuck yourself. Imagine like being there when people having the conversation about adding new words to the dictionary or something, and you've like been around the block and you know about the different words that should be in the dictionary. Just super cool.
Lord Masson, Mrs. True, runs the orphanage.
Indeed.
You've seen men who suddenly feel themselves back in battle. Well, sometimes I go forward.
I never said I was a soldier.
You're probably going to.
No, it's the eyes.
I don't think anybody really talked about it when it first aired, but obviously True is a soldier from the future, and there's something, I have never been a soldier, but I'm sure that there's something that she insinuates is in somebody's eyes that tells you that, you know, you were a soldier. It looks like you've seen some shit. So once again, another huge hint.
It's okay, Petal, it's not your fault. It's the doctor.
When Malady comes up on stage, she literally tells one of the first actors that it's not your fault, it's the doctor. All she repeats throughout the rest of the episode runs is, I only kill angels, and her eyes, angels, is the men that worked at the hospital with the white coats that kind of did all these experiments and kind of tortured her and created the Malady that we know today. She says this multiple times throughout the rest of the run of the episodes.
Why am I here? I came to kill an angel, which... Oops.
Once again, she came here to kill an angel. Later in the scene, in this next clip, she literally says, kill the angel, screw it, I can't get through to these people that claim that they did not see God when I was touched by God. So screw them all, kill the angel. And she is talking about the psychoanalyst that we had seen in a couple of previous scenes before the opera starts, talking to True and Amalia. And one of the characters, I think it's Lavinia, says like, oh, you're a psychoanalyst. Well, he is the only person in the entire theater. Like when I first watched this, I thought that it was kind of like a theater shooting where this guy with the gun on his arm was sort of shooting everyone around him. And no, he wasn't. He was specifically aiming for one man in the audience, and it's the one man that is the psychoanalyst.
He came to us all, and you all turned your backs on him. You lied. You said he never...
When we see in episode 6 that she was the only person that can remember and claims that she saw this Galanthe ship flying across London, spraying these spores all over everybody. Everyone else seemed to forget about it except for her, and nobody believed her, except for Amalia, but we'll get into that later. Once again, another hint.
Yeah, bugger it. Take the angel.
Bugger it, take the angel, and then she shoots the angel.
Just let me have a go. Just let me have a go.
The final one for episode 1 is this awesome moment that I completely did not interpret this way when I first saw it. And it's pretty obvious when you go back and watch it now. So Amalia, this is the first time that Malady really gets a good look at Amalia after she falls and her dress comes off, which is probably the reason why everybody forgot about this scene, because they were too concerned with the badass stunt that woman just pulled. But this no from Malady is actually her realizing that Mrs. True is Amalia that she had known from the hospital, and it is even more amplified by the fact that the camera actually unfocuses and then refocuses on Malady's face when she realizes. It's a subtle way of showing somebody's mind had shifted or something had changed, which is pretty obvious because what you're looking at has changed. Tune in for next episode where I go into the foreshadowing in episode whatever it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. Think about subscribing and commenting about the foreshadowing that you might have seen that I might have missed, or things that I did not comment on. Tell me what you loved about the Nevers, and tell me your favorite childhood memory. If you're feeling a little bit spicy, please think about liking this video, subscribing to my channel, following me on Twitter, maybe checking out my Patreon, donating to my Bitcoin wallet if you just want to like show support for the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one.